Ah yes, Super Metroid, such an amazing game. Straight off the bat, the game shows you what to expect out of it with the intro alone. The dark tone, the eerie music, and the baby Metroid shrieking as the game's title screen pops up on the screen and the serious tone of the music starts playing. With that powerful tone, you just know the game is serious. As you wait in the title screen, the game will load up sequences from the game you are expected to encounter. This is known as Super Metroid's hidden tutorial. So, if you're ever stuck or want to learn of the game's intended features, just wait around for the sequence to begin. Now, you heard me mention intended features, well, more about that later. Interesting enough, this game features something games very rarely did back then. The option to bind your buttons to fit as playstyle you are more comfortable with yourself. Not only that, however, you also have the special setting mode, where you can turn the game reserve tank into manual use or automatic usage when you run low on energy. You can also turn on moonwalking, which makes you walk backwards or moonwalking as you shoot. The lonely space station known as Ceres, our savior Samus was walking down the hallway with dead bodies lying on the floor. The baby Metroid was missing from his classroom. Samus, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Samus? Samus, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Samus? Samus, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Samus? Samus, are you okay? I don't recommend it, as it gets annoying later down the road though. You also have the choice between Japanese and English text if you're playing the NTSC version, or French and German text if you're playing the PAL version. The game also has a save file system, so you can stop and save at certain locations if you decide to take a break from playing. Why you would ever want to do that is beyond me, however.
The last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
The game's intro basically tells you about what happened in the first two Metroid games leading up to the events that is about to transpire in Super Metroid. They do this by showing you a wall of text alongside a small little cutscene. The game's cutscene might be brief, but they tell you enough what's going on. Depending on what text language you choose, you also get a very small summarization in that respective language down below. So, after finding out the Ceres station is under attack, Samus makes the way for a space station. It is here the game begins as Samus travel down with the elevator. Here you get the chance to learn the controls while taking your time. Something they added with Super Metroid was the ability to shoot in 8 different directions with the shoulder buttons, reserved for aiming diagonally up or down. By pressing both of them, you can also aim upwards even while crouching. Once you've tried out the controls and gotten comfortable with them, it's time to make your way through the space station. Soon enough, you enter the room the game's title screen showcase with the dead scientists, but this time the baby Metroid is missing. That's such a gruesome detail, but it adds to the game's amazing atmosphere. After leaving this room, you'll make it to a hallway, and eventually in an empty, silent room where it's just you and the baby Metroid. With the door locked behind you, all you can do is wait as the baby Metroid shriek, until you see a single yellow eye glow in the dark. Then you suddenly see a body and hear the words, "Here's Johnny!" as Ridley shows up and grabs the baby Metroid. After fighting Ridley until either of you have damaged each other enough, he makes for an escape as you're greeted with a self-destruct warning alongside a timer before the station blows up. As you try to escape, you better watch out as the station is collapsing with debris falling from the ceiling and hot steam coming out through the floor, walls and ceilings. These things are one of many which the Metro series is famous for, and I absolutely love it. Especially if you've never played a Metro game before, it will really catch you off guard, as one would expect the game to pan out and bring you to the next area at this point. This is where the game begins for real, and you're free to start exploring the vast world that is Super Metroid. If you play the first Metroid game, you'll recognize some of the areas you will pass through, such as Mother Brain's hideout and the starting area of the first game. Funny how close you were to Mother Brain from the very beginning. Here, you'll be greeted by Mari, or the Morph Ball as it will be known as after Super Metroid. Once grabbing it, you will be able to roll up into a ball, and kids, this is exactly why Metroid can't crawl. Go grab the missiles, and in return, the entire planet will wake up as you return back towards your ship. Just like the first game, missiles have a limited supply. Super Metroid have had a huge impact on games that would come after it, and ended up defining certain aspects, which would come to be used down in the line future games outside of the series. For example, it's a forefather of 2D exploration games, which would eventually come to be called Metroidvania, which Castlevania Symphony of the Night continued in this form of genre. Now, what makes this style of game to be known as a Metroidvania, I hear you asking? Well, you need exploration with a vast map system, which preferably updates tile for tile, upgrades or collectibles that will make you stronger on your journey, or new abilities that unlock new areas of the game, alongside with backtracking. Now I can hear a lot of you sighing at the word of backtracking. But funny enough, Super Metroid allow you to skip the backtracking parts if you are skilled enough at the game to minimize the backtracking. More about that a little bit later. Every area of the game there's a map terminal that gives you a map that shows you a majority of the area you are in. This is a good way to help those who are new to the game to have an easier time finding their way, but still having secrets which can be found without the rooms marked out on the map. Finding secrets are part of the game genre after all. This is something I absolutely love as well, the fact that it's optional. Other games in the series, such as Metroid Fusion and Other M, would force the map on you every time you enter a new area. The key difference between the two is that Fusion would still have secrets to unfold, unlike Other M, which is just as much Metroid as a potato would be. The game loves playing tricks on you, as collecting certain items will trigger events, like the Morph Ball bomb, where the mid-boss is hidden inside a statue. Now, the mid-bosses serves as obstacles. However, as far as I'm aware, there are only 2 of the mid-bosses you're actually forced to kill, as the others are completely optional through several sequence breaks. For example, using the unintended skill known as Mock Ball, you can get super missiles earlier than intended, skipping Spore Spawn if you so desire. Getting them early also saves you some time backtracking later on. Using the wall jumping technique which has been introduced in this game, you can reach the higher areas of Red Brinstar by wall jumping your way up. This way you can get the power bombs earlier as well. To list off the items that can be accessed earlier without intended equipment beforehand are the following: Super Missiles, Power Bombs, X-Ray Scope, Ice Beam, Wave Beam, Spacer, and many more pickups. Why backtrack when you can break the game and save time? So, what are the intended and not intended skills you can use and learn in the game, I hear you asking? Well, the intended skills you can learn in the game are the following: Bomb Jumping. Then there is Wall Jumping, which you can learn by watching the creatures known as Etecoons, and Shine Sparking, which you can learn by watching the Decora perform. Gotta go fast like Sonic! But be aware, as Shine Sparking drains your health. Then there is the ability known as the Crystal Flash, which Samus can use in order to fully heal all health. You need to have less than 50 health left with empty reserve tanks, and at least 10 missiles, 10 super missiles, and 10 power bombs to perform. If you are a novice at the game, every skill and ability has their uses. But in reality, most of them are completely skippable. These are the new power-ups Super Metroid introduces. The Gravity Suit, which makes it possible to move like normal in water without any change to the gravity. The Speed Boost, which I previously mentioned. The Spring Ball, which makes it possible to jump while in Morph Ball mode. Then we have the Weapon Beams. When it comes to the Weapon Beams, 2 new things has been introduced. We have the Charge Beam, which lets you charge your beam to make it stronger. And then you can also combine your beams with each other, but you can't activate Spacer and Plasma at the same time. Not through normal means anyway. Then there's the Grapple Beam that makes it possible to swing yourself to reach certain areas, as long as the grapple beam can attach itself to the object or the creature. Then last there's the X-Ray Scope that lets you see hidden blocks and or secrets. What makes Super Metroid so much fun, besides the incredible tight and responsive controls, are the fact that you can enter the item menu and deactivate as well as reactivating your abilities again. The fact it's possible to change what abilities you have equipped gives you diversity to try new ways of playing the game. This is something I wish Nintendo would bring back in the future games, but then again, Nintendo hates the franchise for some weird reason. The game has an amazing soundtrack, with both upbeat themes that make your experience a happy one, as well as darker themes to remind you that you are, in fact, on your own, alone on Zebes. Several of the themes would scare me as a kid, with some still creeping me out to this day. Every theme has been carefully composed to fit the area it represents. And the sound effects of the game are amazing as well, with every sound sounding genuine. The bosses themselves are pretty impressive, with both the design and details. While the game has a few bosses, the quality which has been put into them are amazing. One thing to point out is that the bosses in these games are always guarded by an eye door. Interesting enough, some bosses will act differently if you shoot them with different weapons. It is here the detail and thought about the bosses really shine through. For example, the boss Phantoon will start panicking if hit by a charged waybeam shot, but if it hits by a super missile instead, it will activate a different attack and become invincible instead, as it forces you to dodge its frantic attacks. While Dragon is weak to electricity and can be killed with the use of the grapple beam and the electrical device inside the boss room itself. Once you are done with killing the game's 4 main bosses, it's time to head down into Torian, the final area of the game. This is the only area of the game, with the exception of Ceres, that does not have a map terminal in it. In Torian, you will encounter the enemy the game has been named after, the Metroids. You need to kill them all in order to make it further in each area. To kill them, you need to freeze them and blast them with 5 or 1 super missile, or you can simply kill them with 3 power bombs. I used to think the power bomb was completely useless in this game aside from opening a few doors, but as it turned out, you have more uses for them than I ever gave them credits for. Once you enter the inner area of Torian, you'll be greeted by a 3rd chorizo statue, but this one seems to have been eaten, as all that remains of it is dust. Here, you are reunited with the baby Metroid. However, the little bastard has grown huge and oh shit, it's trying to kill you! However, as you are about to die, it recognizes you, gets sad, and escapes away as you shoot it like the monster you are. All that awaits you now is the final fight against Mother Brain. Just like the first game, she's in a glass tube, which you break, and then she dies as you are closed inside a room. If you remember what I said earlier about the game tricking you, this is once again one of those times, as Mother Brain raises from the ground with her new robotic body. This is simply a fight Samus cannot win, as Mother Brain completely crushes you with her Hyper Beam. As you're about to be killed with a final Hyper Beam, the Metroid swoops in and decides Mother Brain needs a new hat. A life-eating hat, that is. As Mother Brain has been drained of energy, the Super Metroid, get it, it's the game's title, is about to take off as it sees Samus down on the knees. It lashes onto Samus and brings all of your energy back, as well staying there as Mother Brain wakes up and starts shooting at the Super Metroid. Then as the Super Metroid is about to take off, it changes its mind and goes for one final attack, as it hits by Mother Brain's final attack and it dies right above the Donald Blade, giving Samus the Hyper Beam to blast away Mother Brain and take revenge for the death of the Super Metroid. This is where any other game would have ended, but not Super Metroid, oh no! We have the obligational run back to the ship as the entire planet will explode. Don't forget to save the animal before you make it to your ship though, as it will net you a minor difference in the ending. Then it's time to see how quickly you beat the game, which also grants you one of 3 different endings, which is determined by how quickly you beat the game. An amazing detail presented at the end of the game. So ultimately, what do I think of this amazing game, now that you have watched through my not reviewing review? Well, plain and simple, it's one of my favorite games of all time. The game's engine is very well made, and aside from the Wii U Virtual Console PAL version, the game has the most amazing responsive controls in a game I've ever played. Left alone all the tiny details the game has with its graphical design, the map design, the bosses, the music, and about everything really. The game's length is perfect, and there are various ways you can play through the game whether they were intended or not. Say for example you want to play through the game without the Varia suit and the space jump. Well, you can do that. That's something you don't see in many games outside of Super Metroid, and this is what the series needs to redo if it will ever come close to producing something so amazing such as Super Metroid. This game is close to pure perfection, and the fact that it's defined a huge genre to come after it is absolutely amazing. So, if you've never played this game before or you don't own it, I highly recommend you pick it up. And at the end of the day you can sit down, relax and be proud you got that 100%. Son of a bitch! We just got the Donald Blade, it's ours to command.